I pretended to be rich on a dating app, now I'm in too deep. So this whole disaster started because I got dumped for a guy who had his life together. Translation: he owned a car that wasn't older than her little brother and had a business casual wardrobe. Meanwhile, I was wearing a hoodie that still smelled like the pizza place I used to work at. My roommate Kyle, who thrives on chaos, looked at me one night while I was 6 beers deep into a pity spiral and said, "Dude, you should make a profile as, like, a tech billionaire. Just see what happens." I laughed. Then I opened Hinge. I made up a guy named Eli. Eli drives a Porsche, Google Images, owns a marketing firm, what does that even mean, and splits his time between New York and coastal Europe, vague enough to sound rich. His bio was something like, investor, creator, traveler. Looking for someone who can challenge me. Cringe? Absolutely. But weirdly convincing with the right lighting and a watch I borrowed from Kyle's uncle for the photos. I didn't expect anyone to swipe. It was a joke, just for laughs. But by the next morning, Eli had 26 likes and a message from a girl named Rachel that said, "So when are you flying me to Italy?" I dropped my phone. She was stunning. Like, out of my league even if I were actually rich stunning. I showed Kyle and he screamed. Bro, she bought it. Now I had a choice: delete the profile and pretend this never happened, or answer her with something cocky and ridiculous like, "Only if you promise to drink overpriced wine on a boat with me." Guess which one I picked? We started talking. And I mean talking. She was witty, sharp, asked about my business, and said things like, "I love that you're so ambitious. Most guys I meet just want to chill in sweatpants." Insert my guilt spiral here. But I couldn't stop. I was hooked. And I figured I could keep the illusion going for maybe a week, max. What's the worst that could happen? Spoiler, I was catastrophically wrong. So, after Rachel messaged me, I fully intended to ghost within a few days. Just enough time to screenshot our chat, laugh with Kyle, and delete Eli from existence. But then she called me. Like, not a FaceTime, just a regular call. I stared at the screen, heart thudding like she was the IRS or my mom asking about rent. I answered, and the voice on the other end was smooth, confident, and slightly amused. "Hi, Eli," she said. I figured texting was too impersonal for a man who owns half of Santorini. My mouth went dry. Yeah, totally. I hate texting. I do not. I live in texts. Texts give me time to Google what equity firm means. We talked for almost an hour. She asked where I grew up, what got me into marketing, what my daily routine was like. I spun a wild tale about getting up at 5 a.m., journaling, swimming laps in my building's rooftop pool, I live on the 3rd floor above a vape shop, then heading into meetings all day. She told me she was a nurse. Worked crazy hours, hated hospital coffee, loved dogs, and took boxing classes to clear her head. I liked her. Like, actually liked her. Which made things worse. After the call, I went into full-blown liar mode. I ordered a fake Rolex online. I found a guy on Reddit who rents out luxury cars and DM'd him asking if he had a silver Aston Martin for a quick photoshoot. I spent 2 days crafting an Instagram for Eli, complete with photos of private jets, tagged in Mykonos, latte art, and one video of me walking out of a hotel lobby in sunglasses like I had somewhere important to be. I didn't. When I sent her my Insta, she replied, "Okay, Mr. Jet Setter Eyes." Then she said she wanted to meet. Not next week. Not eventually. Tomorrow. My brain short-circuited. I was running out of time, resources, and clean button-down shirts. So I did what any emotionally unstable liar with a roommate like Kyle would do. I planned the most elaborate fake-rich date of my life. The day of the date, I woke up with a pounding headache, not from alcohol, but from the stress of living a double life I had no business maintaining. Kyle was already awake, shirtless, eating cereal straight from the box and watching Shark Tank like it was a self-help seminar. "You ready to become Gatsby or whatever?" he asked, mouth full of Cheerios. "I'm going to puke," I said. "Good. Rich guys always puke before a date. Keeps em humble. I'd booked a rental car. Not a Ferrari, too flashy. Not a Tesla, too try-hard. I settled on a sleek black BMW 7 Series from a guy named Mark who ran a sketchy luxury car service out of a warehouse behind a mattress store. Mark handed me the keys with zero paperwork and said, "Bring it back before 10. Don't crash." Noted. My outfit consisted of Kyle's nice blazer, still had the tags, a white shirt with one too many buttons undone, and shoes I had to stuff with tissue because they were a size too big. I looked like the villain in a rom-com set in Monaco. Rachel picked a rooftop wine bar downtown, the kind of place where the menu doesn't have prices and every waiter has a man bun. I arrived 10 minutes early and sat there sipping a glass of wine I couldn't pronounce, sweating through my fake confidence. Then she walked in. Rachel was effortless. Black dress, hair in a loose braid, that kind of self-assured energy that makes everyone else in the room feel like they're playing catch-up. "You're even hotter in person," she said, sliding into the seat across from me. I nearly choked on my wine. "I could say the same about you." The first 30 minutes were smooth. We talked about travel, our careers, I regurgitated LinkedIn buzzwords, and laughed about a couple at the next table arguing over truffle oil. But then she said, "So, where's home base for you? New York or Lisbon?" "Lisbon? Oh right. I'd put that on my profile." "Lisbon," I said confidently. "But I bounce around." "Cool. What part?" I stared blankly. The older part." She raised an eyebrow, clearly amused. "You mean, like, Alfama?" "Yes. Love that area. With the hills. And street art. Jesus." We finished the night watching the skyline, and I walked her to her Uber. Just before she left, she looked at me and said, "You're different. Not in a bad way. Like, I don't know. You don't feel fake." I smiled, trying not to combust from the irony. "Neither do you." She kissed me on the cheek and got in the car. I stood there staring at the taillights, heart pounding. I was in way too deep. And the worst part? I didn't want to stop. After our first date, Rachel texted me before I even made it back to return the rental car. "Rachel, tonight was amazing. I feel like I've known you longer than a week. Let's do something again soon. Your turn to pick the place, winking face." I stared at the screen, parked behind the mattress warehouse where Mark was counting stacks of 20s and listening to EDM. My stomach was doing flips. Part of me wanted to tell her the truth right then and there. Just lay it all out and hope she'd forgive me. But the other part, the stupider, louder part, was still high off the adrenaline of pulling it off. So I doubled down. The next few weeks were a blur of scrambled lies and carefully curated illusions. I worked late, stayed in my room googling hedge fund terms, wore the same 3 outfits on rotation, and created an imaginary assistant named Trevor who handled my calendar, Kyle with a fake British accent texting her things like "Mr. Eli is in meetings until 3, care for dinner tomorrow night?" Rachel bought it all. She invited me to meet her friends at this rooftop mixer for young professionals. I panicked. Trevor sent a polite text saying I was flying to Zurich for a startup pitch. I spent that night in my apartment eating ramen and watching a YouTube video titled "How to Walk Like You Own a Yacht." But lies have momentum. And I'd built a monster. Because a week later, Rachel texted. "Rachel. So, my birthday's next month." I didn't want to make a big deal, but my friends are planning something. A weekend getaway. A few of us. You included. Me. That sounds fun. Where to? Rachel. Miami. My best friend's fiancé has a boat. We'll be staying at the Seta. Very chill. And don't worry, we'll fly commercial this time, winking face. Commercial. This time. I nearly passed out. I wasn't just dating a cool girl. I was dating someone whose casual idea of chill was a luxury hotel and private boats. I showed Kyle the texts. He stared at me like I'd just announced I was auditioning for Broadway. "You're so screwed." I nodded. "I know." But instead of backing out, I looked up flights to Miami and checked how much I had in savings. Answer: not enough to buy a towel at the SETA. I was spiraling, and part of me still thought I could land the plane. And then, 2 days later, it happened. Rachel tagged me in an Instagram post. It was a photo of us on the rooftop from our first date. Caption: rich in more ways than one blue heart. My cousin commented: "Eli? Since when do you drink wine?" The walls were cracking. And Miami was coming fast. When I tell you I almost faked my own death to avoid this trip, I mean it sincerely. But the Miami birthday weekend was locked in. Flights were booked. Hotel was covered, blessedly, by Rachel's friend's fiancé. All I had to do was show up and not combust under pressure. Easy, right? Kyle helped me prep like I was going undercover in the CIA. We built a backstory for Eli's life, past business failures that made him humble, a firm in stealth mode to explain the lack of social media presence, a made-up allergy to caviar. I panicked when I saw it on the group dinner menu. He even role-played conversations with me. Kyle, in a fake posh voice: "So Eli, tell us about your time consulting in Singapore." Me: "Absolutely, the fintech boom out there was wild." Kyle: "What's fintech?" Me: "No clue. Please don't make me go." When the weekend finally came, I flew Spirit Airlines with a duffel bag full of borrowed clothes, praying no one saw me. I Ubered from the airport to the SETA, changed in a bathroom stall in the lobby, and emerged like Cinderella cosplaying Elon Musk. Rachel greeted me in a white sundress like a walking rom-com montage. "You made it," she smiled. "My friends can't wait to meet you." I died inside. There were 7 of them. All rich adjacent. Models, consultants, some dude who works in crypto, which I guess means money laundering with extra steps. We sat poolside drinking $28 cocktails, and I lied through my teeth with a smile that hurt my face. "So what do you actually do, Eli?" her friend Maya asked. I launched into some nonsense about data-driven branding ecosystems and emerging market narratives. She nodded like I made sense. I think I blacked out halfway through. Then came the boat. A real yacht. Like, someone had a captain kind of yacht. Rachel wore this impossibly chill linen thing that blew in the wind while I tried to look like I'd done this 1,000 times and not like I wanted to throw myself overboard. But even worse than faking my way through champagne talk and crypto bros was the way Rachel looked at me. Like she believed in me. Like I was some driven, passionate guy who built his life from scratch. And for a second, I wished I was him. We watched the sunset together on the top deck. She rested her head on my shoulder and whispered, "I'm really glad you came." I didn't say anything. Because I wasn't Eli. I was a broke guy with a fake Rolex, maxed out credit cards, and a lie too big to carry anymore. And just as I was about to confess, someone behind us said, "Yo, Eli?" I turned. It was my old coworker from the pizza place. And he knew my real name. There are moments in life when time slows down, not in a romantic, movie magic kind of way, but in a your blood goes cold and your brain short circuits kind of way. This was that. I turned to face him, Jason. We worked together at Pizza Plus 2 summers ago, bonded over stolen mozzarella sticks and mutual hatred of our manager, Curtis. He was holding a drink, sunglasses pushed up into his curly hair, and smiling like he'd just bumped into an old college buddy. "Dude, I thought that was you," he said, laughing. "What's up, man? I haven't seen you since, what was it? You bailed mid-shift that one Saturday 'cause someone's dog ate a sock?" Rachel turned to me. "You guys know each other?" I laughed, high-pitched and absolutely not normal. "Yeah. Jason and I go way back." Jason squinted at me. "Eli, huh? Thought your name was Elliot." I blurted. "It's Elliot. Eli is just what my friends call me now. Kinda a rebrand, you know?" Jason nodded slowly, obviously confused but too polite, or drunk, to push it. Right, cool. Wow, you clean up good, man. What VE you been up to? Marketing, I said too quickly. Big time. Lots of travel. Singapore, Lisbon, the works. Jason's face did a little flicker of wait what? But he smiled. Nice. Hey, I'm here with my girlfriend, she's in med school. I'll catch you guys later. Good seeing you. He walked away, and I turned back to Rachel. She looked unsure. Not angry. Not suspicious. Just processing. I tried to play it cool. Old job. Really different chapter of life. She smiled faintly. I didn't know you worked at a pizza place. Didn't seem relevant, I said, shrugging. Everyone starts somewhere. She nodded slowly. Yeah. I guess I assumed you've always kind of been this. That hit me harder than I expected. Because I wanted to be this. Confident. Put together. Someone who looked natural holding a wine glass and talking about venture capital, even though I still wasn't 100% sure what that was. But all I really had was a stack of borrowed clothes and a very loud conscience. That night, I barely slept. Rachel curled up next to me in a suite I didn't pay for, breathing evenly like the world made sense. Meanwhile, I laid there staring at the ceiling, knowing it was all going to collapse soon. And then my phone buzzed. A DM from Jason. Bro, what was that? You good? And below it, a screenshot. Of me, from a year ago. Wearing my old Pizza Plus uniform. Holding a spatula. Captioned, Bestie Eli making dough, literally. It had already been liked by Rachel. The moment I saw Rachel's name under the screenshot, my stomach dropped so fast I swear I could feel it hit my knees. I stared at the screen like it was some kind of bomb, hoping and praying there was a second where I could fix it before it exploded. But the truth was already out there. It had a timestamp. A comment from Jason that said, "Throwback to our pizza-slinging days, pizza miss this dude." And then Rachel's like. No comment. Just a like. Which was somehow worse. I left the hotel room and paced down the hallway barefoot like an idiot trying to brainstorm excuses. Maybe I'd say it was photoshopped. Maybe I'd say it was a charity gig. Maybe I'd say I was method acting for a role as a struggling chef. I actually considered that for 10 full seconds. When I came back into the room, Rachel was sitting up in bed, phone in her lap. Her expression wasn't angry. It was worse. It was calm. Controlled. Too still. You worked at a pizza place, she said, quietly. I opened my mouth but nothing came out. She nodded slowly. You said you ran a marketing firm. That you had offices in Lisbon and New York. That you owned a boat. Well, I never technically said I owned the boat, I tried to joke. She didn't laugh. Why? I sat on the edge of the bed, suddenly aware of how stupid I looked in someone else's clothes, pretending to be a version of myself I had no business inventing. I didn't expect you to swipe right, I said. It started as a joke. My roommate dared me to make a rich guy profile. And then you messaged me. And I panicked. So you built an entire fake life instead of just telling the truth? I thought I'd get caught in a day. A week, tops. But then you kept talking to me. And you were so cool and real and smart, and I stopped. I didn't think someone like you would give someone like me a chance. That quiet hung in the air again. Then she said, someone like me? You're incredible, I said. You box. You save lives in the ER. You hang out on yachts like it's Tuesday. You deserve a guy who lies about who he is for weeks. I swallowed. No. You're right. I messed up. Big time. She got up and walked to the window, arms folded. I liked you. You, Elliot or Eli or whatever. Not because you're rich. Not because of fake yachts. You're funny and weird and you actually listen. But you didn't trust that. I didn't know what to say to that. She turned to me, eyes glassy now. I don't care if you're broke. I care that you lied every single day we were together. Even when you didn't have to. I nodded. I deserve that. I need space, she said, voice low. This whole weekend feels like a performance now. And I don't know what was real. She picked up her bag, slipped on her shoes, and left. I didn't chase her. I just sat there in a $400 robe I didn't own, staring at the door I'd closed on myself. After Rachel left that hotel room, everything went quiet. Not in the peaceful way. In the post-explosion, ears ringing, what just happened, way. The kind where you finally see the wreckage you caused with your own hands. I stayed in Miami for the rest of the weekend because I didn't know where else to go. Jason didn't message again. Kyle called, and when I picked up, he said, "You okay?" I said, "Not even close." When I flew home, middle seat, no champagne, I deleted the Eli Instagram. Sold the fake Rolex for half what I paid. Packed up the blazer, the shoes, and the persona, and shoved it all in a storage bin like I was burying a costume after a failed audition. Rachel didn't text. Not that week. Not the one after. But guilt's funny. It doesn't fade, it mutates. It turns into this echo you carry around with you. Every ad for luxury watches, every rooftop bar, every Hinge notification. All reminders of how far I'd gone to pretend to be someone I wasn't. So I did the only thing I hadn't tried, I told the truth. I wrote her an email. Not a long one, not some grand romantic gesture. Just an honest one. Rachel. I won't waste your time with excuses. I lied because I thought the truth wouldn't be enough. I built a version of me that I thought you'd want, and in the process, I destroyed the real version before you ever got to know him. But I've been thinking about what you said. About not knowing what was real. So I'll tell you now, what was real was how much I liked you. How much I still do. If you ever want to grab a $2 slice of pizza and hear about the guy who doesn't own a boat, I'll be there. Elliot. I didn't expect a reply. But a week later, I got one. You're an idiot. I don't know if I trust you yet. But I do like pizza. Thursday? I stared at it for a long time. Then I smiled. And texted Kyle. She wants pizza. He replied. Don't screw this up, bro, bring napkins.